active human trafficking. It's a record 288 people arrested.
They're not reporting the real numbers.
The numbers are segmented and they are fictitious.
I started my career in 1997 in the United States Border Patrol. It was one of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I made my bones and my reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system. And I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
You know it's bad when Lawrence is empty. What?
So I'm right here at one of the biggest car washes on Bristol and Santa Ana. Sunday, 9:48 a.m. and it's closed. So it's true. Because of ICE, this place is completely closed down and there is nobody here. They open at 7 a.m. every day or 8 in the morning, and it's completely shut down. So this is what's causing these raids, is what's happening right here. Shutting down businesses for no fucking reason.
Jack's Car Wash, City of Bell, after raids.
Like always, guys, L22 on Saturdays. We got gaps up in here. Probably about 20% of vendors actually showed up. So look at that way. Look at this gap. Look at my gap next to me. And there's just gaps throughout this whole area. Just ICE has people running scared.
My name's Antonio Gallo. I'm one of the owners of Casa Fina restaurant in Boyle Heights. It's been a staple in the area of Boyle Heights. Normally on Father's Day, we're packed. We have people waiting about 20 minutes. On that Sunday, I mean, it was just, there was nobody there, right? Folks were afraid to come out, and now we have to consider about what do we do with our employees, right? We have no money coming in. It's just the raids in the city, and it's scaring our folks. It's scaring our people, and it has to stop, or a lot of folks are going to lose their jobs.
Truth with JJ Carrell, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Okay, we're about to see a massive course correction in the United States of America. A massive. There are so many things. Like I pieced together, Logan pieced together all of these videos, and it shows you how we've been lied to and propagandized. Do you understand? They're claiming now, and this is grossly conservative. There's so many illegal aliens in California that they have appropriated 5 seats, congressional seats, to the Democrats in these areas that Bristol, Santa Ana, Los Angeles proper. So you have 5 seats that could be or should be appropriated throughout the country to red cities and states. So instead of having 4, have a majority of 4, we have a majority of 9, 10, 15, just in the state of California. We're not talking about Illinois, New York. We're not talking about all the way up to Oregon and Washington. We could literally If we did not count these illegal aliens and remove these illegal aliens just on the outer coast, the east and west coast, we would flip the House. The House would be sitting about right now about 250, 260, maybe 270 Republican. Can you wrap your brain around that? 280. It's over. We win. I want you, when you look at these videos, I want you to understand, before we start in this, there's all these people are out of work. No. Your whole city is filled with illegal aliens. Your whole city. Where's Santa Ana? So people that are not from California. So you have San Diego, and then you go up and you have like Oceanside and all the little beach communities, and then you have San Clemente and Camp Pendleton, and then you go up a little bit more, and then you have Santa Ana right below LA. Santa Ana is absolutely, for all intents and purposes, a city of the nation of Mexico. Period. And you're seeing car washes, restaurants, this moron that's the owner of a restaurant, empty, no one's there. So what we have done is we've created infrastructure for illegal aliens. And let me tell you, if you're from California, you lived in California for any amount of time, it is congested beyond your imagination. Housing costs, rents are skyrocketing. Infrastructure is crumbling all around you. Homelessness everywhere. There's nowhere to live. There's nowhere to build. Why? Well, because you have artificially inflated the population of California by millions. Millions. And when you begin to look at how much money is spent in the state of California. Look, I'm going to show you, I can show you videos of Oregon, Washington, New York. This is all going to happen across America. You're going to see a reduction of population, complete reduction of population, all on illegal aliens. And you are going to see within 6 months to a year, those small towns, their budgets are going to be in the surplus. Because we're not educating, feeding, clothing, medicating all of these illegal aliens. When you start to say, well, who's going to wash our dishes? Who's going to cook our food? Well, Americans will. And you're going to have to pay them a proper wage. And when you pay them a proper wage, those individuals will not be on Section 8 housing. They won't be on SNAP and WIC. They won't be getting cash cards. They won't be getting earned income tax credit. They won't be getting everything that should be given to Americans struggling that you are giving to illegal aliens because you pay them nothing. And they pay nothing, and they take everything, and they use all of our services, all of our roads, hospitals, schools, everything. Let's fast forward in 3 months, less than 3 months. Everyone returns to school. Oh, my dear Lord, we don't have 35 students to a classroom. We have 21. Whoa, we have 18. We have an 18-to-1 or a 20-to-1 ratio with the teacher? Oh my gosh, our test scores are going up because we don't have to spend English as a second language dollars in the millions, the billions annually. This is an absolute game changer. I have been saying this since I've been in the Border Patrol for 24 years. All we have to do is enforce the law. I don't have to go to Congress and ask those morons to create another law. I just need to follow the laws that are on the books, and we win. And we don't have to, and I've been saying this forever, you don't have to arrest every single illegal alien. You make it so insufferable to be here illegally that they will leave. And they will leave. They can't work. They can't go get groceries. They can't get their welfare. They can't get anything. They will leave. Why are they here? George W. Bush lied to us about a million things, but one thing that he lied constantly about was they are here because they want to be Americans. No, they don't. Example, Exhibit A. Riots, Mexican flags, just because they're predominantly Mexican nationals there in Southern California. Mexican flags waving all over. Drive around the barrios of San Diego, south of San Diego, in LA, Santa Ana, any of those places, and it's all Mexican flags everywhere. They don't want to be Americans. That is the lie. Look, everything. We just had this conversation with my wife last night. We're looking at another lie and another lie, another lie. What do you believe? You don't. I said you don't believe anything. That's a horrible place, and I'm finding myself in that position of life where I question everything. I don't believe anyone. I don't believe anything told to me unless I absolutely verify it. That's a horrible way to live. I'm going to just be honest. I don't enjoy it. I find it anxiety filled, and I don't do anxiety. I just don't. I plow through life. I have worries, I have concerns, but I don't have anxiety where it's beating me down. But I'm telling you that it is disconcerting at the baseline that nothing that is being told to you is true. Nothing. I knew this back when I became an adult, a young adult, and then I came in the Border Patrol, and then I began, after all the newness wore off, I looked around and I was like, okay, just in the Border Patrol and law enforcement, nothing makes sense. They're lying to us. And then my critical thinking kicked in. Well, if they're lying to me about something like this so blatantly, what else are they lying to me? Well, JJ, wait, my friend. Wait as you get older and have more access to information. You're about to see. Thus, I call this the age of awakening. Everything is now coming open. Now we have a quasi-free speech with X, nothing else but just with X. And that has been able to open the floodgates of truth. And when you look at this illegal alien issue, I want you to understand, let's take California, which is a huge state, and let's bring it down to, say, Springfield, Ohio, which is a small city that had about 40,000 people. They have over 60,000 people and growing to 70 in the last 4 to 5 years. Why? Because we dumped over 20,000 illegal alien Asians into their community. Go there right now and ask them, if we were removed all 20,000 of those Haitians, what would your community be like? And they would say, it would be beautiful again. So we're looking at, and I implore Donald Trump, accelerate every single day, accelerate the arrests and deportations. What's happening is great, but it's not great enough. It's not enough. And do not stop. Keep the pedal down. Continue to get these people out of here. Here's a statistic that I want to see, but I know I'm not, because all these governmental law enforcement organizations are corrupt. Like, are you going to trust LAPD to put criminal arrest data correctly in their database? Are you really? Are you really going to trust the LA sheriffs that put out a condolence post on X for Iranians that might have been hurt by our bombing? You're going to trust those two? You're going to trust New York PD? You're going to trust Chicago PD? You're going to trust every San Francisco all the way up, Spokane PD? You're going to trust those entities to put the correct immigration status on people that are arrested? And I'm going to tell you no, because throughout my career, I stood in front of Mexican nationals, Guatemalans that were Native Americans, people that were as dark as night from Sudan, Ukrainians, Russians, all of them stood before me. And as I'm looking at their arrest data in the FBI, white U.S. citizen, white U.S. citizen. And I'm like, the guy doesn't speak English. He's like 5 shades of darker than the darkest black man in America. And you're telling me this guy's a U.S. citizen. You're telling me that you didn't have the foresight or the critical thinking or the law enforcement integrity to look at him and say, no, you can't be from America. No, no. It's just common sense. You don't look like anything of America, any American. You don't speak English. You can barely communicate. I would have to assume you are not a U.S. citizen. I'm just that. I think that's normal. I think that's that's a normal question to ask. But I want to see the arrest data that I know I'm not going to see in 6 months, and show me Santa Ana, LA, New York, Chicago, and show me the arrest data, and I'll show you crime statistics that will plummet because the illegal aliens push the crime data skyrocket. Trump has to continue to do what he's doing. He has to. Before I bring in Ann Vandersteel, who I see is in, thank goodness there's like, when I talked to Ann last week, there was no Iran war. There was no Supreme Court of talking to Trump or telling Trump that you can deport people to third party nations. I mean, the whole world's on fire, and it gets worse and worse, or better, however you look at it, every single week. Before I bring Ann in, I want you to please support the sponsors that support my show and Brandon House Worldview Tube shows and Vandersteel's show. How do you do that? You support the sponsors that support us. One of those is patriotsmade.com, patriotsmade.com/JJ. Why is this important? Well, all I have to do is point back to like 10 days ago, Christy Walton of the Walton family of the AKA Walmart, who gets all of her money, billions annually, from us buying from that box store. And she funded all of the No Kings riots across America. That's just one. And then you go into their store, and then you see companies that gave billions, with a B, billions to Black Lives Matter, who then defunded the police. And now we're living through this crime wave, this absolute crime wave. So stop giving your money to the box stores that hate you. I love Costco, but I know that if I went and filled out a job application for Costco, being JJ Carroll, a white middle-aged man, I am going, no matter how great my resume, 24 years in the Border Patrol, master's degree, author. Oh yeah, let's put him under the pile. Well, why? Well, he's not DEI. So Costco's still under DEI regulations. Go to patriotsmade.com. Give your money to a company that makes their product in America by Americans for Americans that are not poisoning you. patriotsmade.com/JJ. I got Ann for a little bit. She's on assignment again. So let's just bring her in and let's get started. I don't want to waste not even 1 minute of her time because we have so much to talk about. Ann, how are you doing?
Good. This is now unfortunately a mission of mercy for a family assignment. I think I mentioned I have 4 family members who've all been severely injured by the bioweapon. And so I'm up helping one of them right now in a beautiful part of the country in Hilton Head. But, this is what we do in the middle of a war. It's like we are literally living through 5GW, 5th generation warfare. They're coming at us at all angles, and it's up to us to stand strong and speak truth to power and stop bending to these purity testers that think this entire, should we say 5GW we're living through is binary in choice, right? You can be against bombing somebody, but you don't have to be necessarily pro the other guy. You could literally say, hey, I'm standing on the Constitution, no foreign entanglements whatsoever. But the conversation that, the bigger conversation right now people are talking about is whether or not President Trump could bomb Iran without consenting Congress. And you've got, the left out there screaming that he's trampling on the Constitution, which is so rich when you think about it, because the Constitution versus the reality at this point is we don't have, and we're not operating under constitutional powers anyway. But the other half of the truth is, if you say we are, the Constitution does grant the president the power to declare a war. It's Article 1, Section 8. It grants the Congress power to declare a war, but it also gives the president under Article 2 the same power. Again, we're operating in duality right now, and it's all because we've been under so many different versions, over 40 national declarations or national emergency declarations that are going back to 1933. So there is a lot of latitude for what the president is doing, and Congress refuses to stand on that. But we don't have a Congress that actually follows Article 2, Section 8, which is their limited scope of power. they've delegated their power to agencies, and these agencies are run by corrupt cabals, and they're operating under corporate authority. So we're really a corporatocracy. We're not a constitutional republic. And, since World War II, presidents have repeatedly used military force without a congressional approval. We can go through them. Korea, Vietnam, Libya, Syria, and now Iran. Don't forget Iraq. So this is where we are, right? We're in a complete constitutional crisis. And the sooner we recognize that and try to rein it all in, the sooner we can get back to restoring the republic.
I agree. I believe we're in a constitutional crisis on many, many fronts. You're looking at the Supreme Court came out yesterday, a 6-3 judgment. The 3 grotesque, physically and mentally impaired judges on the left, the females, voted against this, but it granted or allowed Trump to continue to deport illegal aliens to a third nation. That for what people don't understand, and we'll get into this later, but quickly, that if a country won't take, say Sudan, won't take back their Sudanese people, well, El Salvador said, I'll house them until the proper time they take them back. Okay, get them out of our country, pay El Salvador 1/3 of the cost it is here, and then they'll house them. This is brilliant move by Donald Trump. But we now have a judge that a federal judge is saying, well, no, I'm not going to follow the Supreme Court. We are in a time, and that I don't think our country's ever been in constitutional crisis in this level, because it is multiple areas that are being attacked. You're right. We are being attacked completely on every front. Before I get into the videos that I want to show my audience and have your comment, tell me your overall feeling of this war, right? So let me lay this. Maybe the question is, I just want your overall view of bombing Iran after Israel forced our hand to go in. Now Donald Trump comes out last night and says we're having a peace deal, and then Israel basically this morning goes, yeah, go F off, Trump, and bombs Iran and really embarrasses Trump. And you see Trump, I don't have this video right now, but Trump comes out this morning, I'm sure you saw it, and he goes, I don't know what's going on, and I don't think either of those countries effing know what they're doing. And he was, oh, you have it. I see it. Logan, let me just play this, and let me just play this clip for you real quick, and get your reaction on the totality of what's happening. This was this morning from Donald Trump.
Great.
Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
And I saw a man that was like a father, had 2 children, and he has given them every chance, and he is exasperated and he is pissed off. Do you see the same thing? And what's your overall feeling on this?
Listen, I agree with you. You know, he is acting like he's pissed off at both his children. But let's be really clear about this. You know, Israel has been the beard and has been the tail that is wagging the U.S. military dog for decades now, and they're doing it at the behest of the bankers, the City of London, who has been coming after this country, our country, since they lost the Revolutionary War. And they have used cunning, versions of corporatocracy and British accredited registered lawyers, part of the Bar Association, that are literally leveraging everything they have in a U.S. through U.S. code and emergency declarations to control America and turn us into debt slaves. When they declared a national financial emergency on this country back in 1933 under FDR, it has disintegrated so rapidly since then into where we are, $37 trillion in debt, and constantly going around spreading bombs of democracy at the cost of billions and billions and trillions in the Middle East of American taxpayer money that we are on the hook to pay the interest on. on money that was printed and made up out of thin air because they forced the Treasury to issue war bonds. Is how this whole thing started. So again, this is a financial system that they are at the end of the rope. It is collapsing. The BRICS countries are standing in solidarity with one another, trading using their own natural resources, their own basket of currencies backed by gold and natural resources, and settling their trade imbalances in gold exchanges, which is why gold is flying off the shelves out of all of the COMEXs around the world to stock the coffers of the sovereign nations. And we aren't playing catch up. And President Trump is unfortunately dealing with Israel, which of course is going to do whatever they want because they're being told by the city of London, and Iran, which is run by a corrupt regime. The Iranian people loved Americans until this. And now they're like, what the hell, America? We're trying to be more like you and you bomb us? So, while I understand Trump did very specific strikes, it's Israel that is going after and destroying Tehran. We spoke to somebody who was in Tehran recently, who is connected to the son of the Shah. And what we learned was that Tehran is in rubble and ruin, and they're running out of food. Where is the relief, the humanitarian relief that Americans should be stockpiling for the Iranian people who are literally victims, just like we are, of our own government? JJ, this is just such a crime against humanity. And Trump is absolutely right. He's using the war powers that he has based on the national emergencies that we're under, the threat from a rogue regime that Iran presents, and frankly, the threat that Israel presents to us at this point. They're both threats to our sovereignty because they're turning us into an ATM. And let's not forget, the rogue regime has been financing Tren de Aragua, which Joe Biden welcomed with open arms to the Maduro regime to flood our borders. So when you say we don't have terror cells, or when the country says, or the mainstream media says, oh, don't worry about terrorism in America, well, guess what? I think they're full of it, JJ, because we have got Tren de Aragua that, thanks to Homan, they're trying to round up to the best of their ability. But they're still embedded in our country, not to mention rogue Chinese actors in this country. So we are still not out of the woods by any stretch of the means. And to anybody that says shame on President Trump, I say shame on them, because at this point, President Trump is doing the best he can with the hand that he is dealt. And we're trying to triage the patient, which is protecting Americans first. And those two countries are just going rogue despite everything President Trump is doing. And frankly, I'm done with both those countries. We need to turn inward and just protect America. And we need to get the hell out of NATO, the hell out of the United Nations, and stop funding this merry-go-round of cabal spending military-industrial complex money.
You are 100% correct. I believe get out of the United Nations, get out of NATO, get out of all the entanglements that Israel has forced our hand. They're the ones who bombed Iran. I'm not saying they didn't have the right to, but you want to bomb Iran? Don't expect me to come in and clean up your mess. And I believe you're correct. And I agree. And I don't think Donald Trump is given. I know Donald Trump isn't given any grace, but you said it best. He's cleaning up other people's messes. This man did not create this world of insanity. He was brought into it by the corrupt cabals that are running the global reset. Mm-hmm. He's just doing the best he can. And that's why you're seeing him so angry. Like, he's like, I am fixing everything. And right away, Israel ignores it. And literally, as you listen to him, Israel said, okay, we'll have a ceasefire after I dump everything I have on Iran. Why are we still tied to Israel? That's an honest question. And before you answer it, be very clear. And whatever you say against Israel, you will be an anti-Semite. You will be. Now, if I ask you about Sudan or Nigeria, and you were against the Sudan and Nigeria, then you would be an anti-Sudanese and anti-Nigerian. But be very careful how you answer this, Ann, because if you say anything against Israel, you want to kill all the Jews. They make me sick with this insanity that because there's Jews in Israel, I have to couch my remarks. No, go pound sand. We're looking at a country of Israel. Why are we tied to them, Ann? Can you explain that to me on any level?
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're tied to them because of the City of London and the international banking cabal, right? So let's be very clear. The Rothschilds of Israel, the Rothschilds of the City of London, the banking cabal. And that's the tail that's wagging the U.S. military dog. This is about a racketeering influence, corrupt organization of government conspirators, not the people, not the Israeli people. All Israeli people are not the Israeli government. Neither are all Americans the U.S. government. Do people in Israel work for the Israeli government? Yes, same as in this country. I am specifically talking about the governments, not the people. And I have every right, as far as I know, although the Supreme Court couldn't be bothered to hear the Fick versus Facebook case, they instead prioritize whether or not Jamaicans in the military are allowed to wear dreadlocks. That's the case the Supreme Court would rather hear over Fick versus Facebook. Our case was denied yesterday by the Supreme Court. So you tell me who is controlling this country. When a free speech case can't get heard in the Supreme Court, but a case about whether your hairdo matters in the military is more important, who is running this country? That's the bigger question here. And so, yes, do I have a problem with Israel? I have a problem with the Israeli government, specifically Bibi Netanyahu, who legitimately mandated that every single Israeli take a bioweapon and then laughed about it in the book, talking about how we turned this country into a control experiment for the Pfizer jab. Listen, the United States government has put America under a permanent national emergency rule. There are over 40 active national emergencies, some dating, like I said, back to FDR in 1933. And under Trump's executive order 13876 back in 2019, he declared Iran's military and political leadership a national security threat, enabling further executive action. So these emergencies allow the executive branch to bypass Congress, act unilaterally, military or economically. Has the Constitution been suspended? Not formally, but for functionality, absolutely. Again, starting with the Trading with the Enemy Act, we talked about this last week in 33, and all the presidents have ruled under these emergency powers. So now the Constitution, JJ, has been routinely bypassed through a series of executive orders under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, as well as authorization for use of military force. So you've got civil liberties, war powers, monetary controls, all subject to emergency authority. But again, why are we granted all of this power? Why is this being unilaterally bypassed? Because the international bankers demanded that we declare a national emergency, a national security threat, by the way, for our monetary policy going back to 33. So this goes right back to the City of London control over our financial situation and the debt slave society in which we find ourselves. So if you want to find out who benefits from these endless emergencies, central banks, globalist financial interests thrive under perpetual war and emergency. That's why I have a problem with the Israeli government, not the Israeli people.
How are we going to get out of this, Ann? How are we going to get back to a constitutional republic?
Yeah.
I don't know, Ann.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have the sneaking suspicion that Putin and Trump are somehow working together. I don't know how they're doing it, or if they just are so fundamentally aligned that they see it. But leaders like President Trump and Putin threaten this system because they're pushing towards sound money and sovereign control. All right. So President Trump 100% agrees with sound money and gold and silver and decentralization, which is why he's talking about making U.S. Bitcoin capital. But he's also a big proponent of gold and silver. The states around our country are already starting to move into that. Florida is one of them, most recently signing in gold and silver for legal tender without being taxed for any sort of income tax or capital gains tax, excuse me. And of course, we know Putin and BRICS are using gold and their natural resources to settle debts between the countries. They're trading using their own currencies and gold to trade back and forth. So, the only way I see out of it is to ditch the Federal Reserve and, of course, abolish the the IRS, the Infernal Revenue Service, as my father, God rest his soul, used to call it. We've got to get out of their debt slave system. And by standing up decentralized currencies, by moving towards the BRICS version of trade, I think that's how we get out of this. But in the meantime, you've got to expose the bad actors. And Israel just got exposed. The Israeli government got exposed, just like the crazy regime in Iran. But is it up to us to change the regime? Is it up to us to back up Israel? No, we don't have any agreement like NATO, which is another reason why we need to get out of NATO, because those countries are going down, and they are part of the reason that they're backing up the central bankers to take collateral like Ukraine and to take collateral like Iran's gas and oil pipelines and the trade routes, because they have nothing. They're bankrupt and they need to steal that stuff to control it for themselves. And guess what? We're not playing along anymore. We're not in it for that. We have what we need here. You guys need to figure out your stuff and stop leaning into us to come bail out your bad actions every time you go off and go rogue.
One thing that's driving me crazy is something that you alluded to. You're looking at the Supreme Court denied a First Amendment and case, and now they're going to talk about Rastafarian hairstyles in the military. I look at the same thing that's happening here in America. We're getting attacked on all levels. Illegal aliens. We're supposed to be getting rid of the IRS, get rid of the income tax, get rid of the Federal Reserve. We're supposed to be energy independent. But now we're sidetracked. We're going on week 2 now of a sidetrack of a war. And it's reminiscent of Bush. Now, I'm not saying Bush was going to do anything that Donald Trump was, but he got sidelined. Do you think that this has anything to do with Trump's domestic policies, what he's trying to do, that we're trying, the people, the powers are trying to suck us into another endless war in the Middle East? You think there's any connectability to that?
100%. 100%. They are trying to drag us into an endless war, which is why President Trump and the brave men and women who flew those B-2 bombers did exactly what he specified. No leaks. First of all, we didn't know which way they were going. They were actually quite crafty, sending B-2s in one direction while they went in the other. But they pinpoint targeted specifically the nuclear enrichment facilities. Now, I have no idea. I cannot, prove or disprove on the validity of whether or not we obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We hear from President Trump that we did. I take him at face value on that. There's, of course, a lot of, internet chatter about the fact that the uranium was snuck out, the Chinese have it, whatever. You know what? If that's the case, you mean to tell me that we don't have satellite imagery tracking that and we didn't know that in advance? I don't believe it. So I'm going to take President Trump on face value that he says we did. Time will only tell. Time will only tell. If Iran is back to spinning up and enriching uranium and gets a bomb quickly without the help of China and Russia, then I guess we didn't obliterate that. We may have struck it, but we may not have taken it out. I don't know. I'm going to say yes, we did, because that's what they're telling us, and I'm going to give President Trump the benefit of the doubt that he wouldn't lie to us about that. But the point remains to be seen. We are now in a wait-and-see moment if BRICS will ally up and provide Iran the materials they need to rebuild their nuclear program. Right? We had Pakistan nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize based on the India-Pakistan war, but then they turned around and condemned him for bombing Iran because, of course, Iran is one of the BRICS allies. So, at this point, I think, JJ, we are in a wait-and-see moment. But again, I stand with President Trump. He had the right to do it. I don't like to see it having to be done. I was vocal about that. I didn't vote on bombing Iran. I didn't vote for that. I voted on closing the borders, on kicking these illegals out, on restoring sound money and restoring our republic, dissolving the Fed, the IRS. That's what I want to see. But if Iran poses such a security threat, and he has the ability, based on the national security threats that we're under and the national declarations of national security that we've been under since 1933, well, I can't say anything about it. He has the right to do it. And Congress has the right to say they don't like it. So let's fix that. Let's get out from underneath all these declarations of national security. Let's get out of this corporatocracy. Let's restore the republic. And then we can go back to having meaningful dialogue where Congress can actually weigh in effectively and say thumbs up or thumbs down. But at the moment, we don't even have good elections. So how do we have a functioning Congress when we don't have good elections? We can only hope and pray that the secretaries of the elections and the supervisors of elections on November of 2026 actually follow the executive order that President Trump signed, which says you cannot have a machine in your election if that machine is not certified. And from where I'm sitting and from what I understand, none of the machines we have right now would even be certifiable before the 2028 election. So we should have an election of paper ballots, and it should be hopefully same-day voting, although that's probably not going to happen, but it should at least be all on paper. So let's see where the temperature of the country is in a year and a half. And I dare say we're going to have a lot of these members of Congress still sitting there, the ones that are have dual citizenship with Israel. I think we're going to clean a lot of house, so long as the American people understand that President Trump has had it up to here with all these little temper tantrums being caused by Israel, Iran, the crazy regime of mullahs, and the city of London bullying the Israeli government into, fighting with everybody, saying, I want your land, I want your energy, and I want your trade routes. That's what the city of London bankers want. They don't care about the people. They want the money that those people are sitting on.
My final question to you, and I want to show you a video. I had so many videos to show you, but things are changing so fast. There's just one. There's a byproduct of what Donald Trump has done that I would like to hit your thoughts on after I show you this video. And the byproduct, and there's many byproducts, but this is, I think, significant, and no one's really talking about it. Trump has taken the Democrat Party and minimized it down to insignificance that I have never seen before. No one even asked them what their thoughts are. No one's reported on it. It's MSNBC, CNN, and even they don't even take the time to even ask these people, these Democrats, what they think. And this is significant. Donald Trump has made them he made them insignificant in politics. It's unbelievable. Let's look at just to show you how stupid these people are and how insignificant they are. This is a video, if you can show this, Logan, titled Hakeem Jeffries, who is one of the dumbest people on planet Earth. Listen to what he talks about Trump and war. This was about two days ago. They're so insignificant. Go ahead and play this for me, Logan, please.
Donald Trump and his actions, which do not appear to be consistent with the United States Constitution, takes unilateral offensive military action without seeking the approval of the United States Congress. The use of military force, which is offensive in nature, must be approved by the House and the Senate. That's according to the Constitution. It's not optional, Donald. It's not. The framers of the Constitution actually gave Congress the power to declare war for a reason. So the American people, through their elected representatives, would have the opportunity to debate the issue and make some decisions as it relates to what's in the best interest and the national security of the American people. Donald Trump and the administration chose to ignore the Constitution. And so they're going to have to come before Congress and explain their justification for an offensive military strike against Iran.
And before you comment, he does not believe one thing. Now, there's things in there that I believe and say, yeah, I'm shaking my head. He doesn't believe anything. He has dry mouth. He has to, before he goes and makes his statement of what he thinks is factually true, he takes a hard swallow as if to be like, okay, let me get my courage to say this because I don't believe it. You and I don't pause when we talk. We just go right off the cuff, and here it is. He's taking a big gulp like, okay, now I got to say something I don't believe in. What is your response, or what is your take watching that video?
It's so rich. It's so rich to sit there and listen to Hakeem Jeffries quote the Constitution as if he's wrapping it around himself like a blanket that is providing him sustenance in life. It is the biggest, boldest lie I have seen in a long time. And again, we're not operating under the Constitution. They haven't been operating under the Constitution. If they did, January 6th would never have happened, and we wouldn't have imprisoned all of those people. That just would not have happened, and their habeas corpus would not have been suspended, or their due process. So let's just start there, okay? Now, when I go back to what I was talking about earlier, let's just use President Trump's strike on Soleimani, right? Let's set that as a precedent just in this context of, President 1, Trump term 1. In January of 2020, he ordered a drone strike on General Qasem Soleimani, and he did it without congressional approval. And why was it justified? Because under Article 2, under the commander-in-chief powers, self-defense against imminent threats is permitted. Then if you look, even under 2002, right, the authorization for use of military force meant for Iraq, right? Again, after 9/11, when we thought, oh, WMD, we had legal cover for strikes on Iran under the National Emergencies and Declaration of Targeting Iran. Because again, we're seeing Iran as an imminent threat. We're aware that Iran had snuck in. Remember, we broke this story on your show about the surface-to-air missiles that came in across the border. Basil Baz and the team down there brought that information out public, and we broke it over here. So we have, under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the IEEPA, war by economic means, giving the president wartime level powers during a declared national emergency. And under that, the president can freeze Iranian assets. They can block financial transactions. Remember 13818? He can enforce sanctions. He can prepare the battle space economically, however he sees fit. Because again, the IEEPA, it isn't just about money, JJ. It's about a form of economic warfare, and it's been weaponized against Iran since 1979. So, Hakeem Jeffries can stuff that Constitution where the sun don't shine because he did it a long time ago. And in fact, should probably pull it out and wipe his brow with it because he was sweating as he's trying to swallow everything he's spitting out at the same time. That must have been incredibly difficult, and how ironic for him to see it. I'm surprised he didn't burst into flames.
So spot on. Ann Vanderstill, thank you so much for taking your time out with us. Please tell our audience where they can find you, your show on World YouTube, and where they can follow you for all of your takes.
Thanks, JJ. I appreciate you. We're, of course, on World YouTube Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. You can follow me at annvanderstill.com, as well as you'll find all of my social media footprints there at Ann Vanderstill. I appreciate the time, as always, JJ.
And we'll talk next week. And as we sign off every week, what in God's name is going to happen next week? We have no idea. Buckle up. We're in for a ride, aren't we?
We certainly are. God bless you, JJ.
Thank you, Ann. Take care. Follow Ann at Ann Vanderstill at Ann Vanderstill on X. Like I tell you every week, you want to be ahead of the information curve, then follow Ann Vanderstill. And her constitutional knowledge is spot on. Ann Vanderstill, awesome. Every week I love speaking to her because I learn multiple things. We need to be prepared. I'm going to show you that that's why I'm looking over to my left. I have the next clip pulled up. Logan, I'm going to go right into the moral rot of America. And dear Lord, have mercy on the soul of our nation. And if you do not believe what Ann Vanderstill just said, that we are being attacked on every front, this next video is just going to show you. It's going to show you that we are in a spiritual warfare. We are in a war. We're in a kinetic war. The left are violent. They hate us. We have terrorists inside of our country. We have PLA soldiers in our country. We have had attack on God and religion and faith for decades, where it is now manifesting that the United States of America, I think less than 50% actually have faith, have a church, go to church, believe in God. So when you look at these poll numbers, if you will, you realize they, the evil, are winning. We know who wins at the end, but they are winning in this war. And this is a war for the soul of America. You have to be prepared. We talk about one of our sponsors, Patriots Made, and this next sponsor that I believe solely in. I have their products in my house, and that is sat123.com. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. I have Chris on my show every Friday, and we talk about the need to be prepared, what products they have. They have every product you need in order to be prepared. The biggest thing to be prepared, the absolute biggest thing, is to be able to communicate with your loved ones. And when cell towers go down, they're burnt to the ground and you can't get contact, like in Pacific Palisades in LA, then you need a sat phone. If anything there was that I would tell you to get from Sat 123 is a sat phone. You don't need to spend $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 on a sat phone. You get one for free when you do a subscription, a monthly subscription, which is, I think it's even less than $90 now, Logan. It was $95. I think it's like $85. I could be wrong, but it's under $100. You spend $100 on the first 4 days of the month in garbage. Why not be prepared? My son carries a ballistic backpack. 13 years old, going to be 14, going to go to 8th grade. Carries a ballistic backpack. That's how screwed up our world is. That is even more pronounced example of how we're being attacked than what I'm going to show you, this monster, in the next clip. Go to sat123.com/JJ. Just go on their website. They have how-tos. Literally, take the phone out of the bag. You're going to hit these numbers. You're going to do this. You're going to set everything you need right there. It's not, hey, buy it, take a hike. Oh, you want customer service? I'm sending you to Sudan, or I'm sending you to Bangladesh. Good luck. No, when you want something, I know this is absolutely absurd, but when you call for any kind of customer service, you're calling someone in America that speaks English. I know. It's shocking. Shocking. Go to sat123.com/JJ. Now, we are in a war. And it's amazing. There's times I'm putting together my show, producing my show, and I think, holy cow, how am I going to make this transition, right? Because you go from You go from the open borders to now closed borders to now empty cities. Then we go to Ann Vandersteel talking about the Constitution and the Iranian war. And now I'm going to show you the moral rot in America. And when I'm doing this, sometimes it's very stark. Sometimes the images are very powerful. So there seems like there's not a real smooth transition. However, I think the transition is seamless for this reason. It's all connected. All the sexual perversion, all the anti-God, all of we're this gigantic universe and we're just hurtling through space and it's just endless and timeless and it just goes on forever. And God is, and as the universe gets bigger, bigger and bigger, God somehow becomes smaller, smaller and smaller. We have no constitution. We are now doing we're ruling through executive orders and through emergency acts. I'm not saying Donald Trump shouldn't use emergency acts or that he shouldn't use executive orders. That is where our country is situated right now. How do we get out of it? I don't know, because it's so corrupt. Everything is connected. The sexual perversion, the missing children in America, the broken CPS system, the open borders, law enforcement being corrupted. It's all connected, all of it. I'm going to show you a video. And at first, literally, the libs of TikTok had to put on a disclaimer saying this is not parody. I'm not joking. I didn't make this up. This is not AI. This is a newscaster talking about the news for a local station in Maine. Can you imagine? It's in the morning. Your kids are eating cereal. You're all watching the TV. And this pops up.
Hello, everybody. I am Chartreuse Money, and today, as current temperatures right here, Saturday, it's 2:40 p.m., honey. It is 80 degrees here in Portland right now, honey, and we are feeling the effects. The sun is out. All it took was a pride parade to bring the sunshine out today, but honey, it is hot all over the state. We got 78 degrees in Lewiston. I know the people of Lewiston, Auburn are probably celebrating and jumping in the river. Please don't do that. Be safe, because it is hot, 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 but we need to find relief. Sanford's 81. Portsmouth down in New Hampshire is a lovely 83. Honey, the water is 56 degrees. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds so tropical, but you still got to be careful. Okay. Hypothermia is real. So take it easy. 78 degrees in Waterville, 71 degrees in Greenville, and 76 in Millinocket. And shout out to my friends up in Caribou. I see you up there, Caribou. It's 73 degrees up there. Hope you're having a good old time.
That's real. That is real. Did you see the cryon on the bottom? Can you pull that up one more time just so I can reference it, Logan? Just a screenshot real quick of it. I want you to look to the bottom right. This is Char money that was giving you the weather. And there's the LGBT XYZ division side plus the pi symbol in Ukraine. Char money, honey. Honey, baby, sweetheart, it's hot. It's chilly in the water. It's burning up. It's so hot. It's 80 degrees, sweetheart. You're probably hot because you're wearing a leotard to cover your manhood. Can you imagine your child is 6 years old eating his Lucky Charms and he's asking you, Mom, why does that woman look so weird? What is that flag down there on the mom? What her name is Char Money? Mom, that girl looks like a dude, Mom. It's in your face. Why do they do it? Why do they, the left, the sexually perverse left, why do they put it in your face? One of the main reasons is to show you they control everything and there's nothing you can do. They believe that. Why shouldn't they? they've gotten away with it ad nauseum. I'm going to show you another one, another video. I don't even know how to say their name. I want to just say it. I'll just try. Raji Narain. It's a trans activist and reality TV actor, and claims that doctors in the VA have formed a secret resistance to Trump's policies. We have the evil. If you think Trump is just going to correct things because he's Trump, you are a fool. There are tens of thousands of these anti-American, deep state, administrative state lunatics, and here is one of them cheerleading for it.
Now let's dive deep into the big LGBT story for today. I'm Raji Narain Singh, and let's queer up trans rights. Inside the VA's secret resistance to anti-trans policy. In clinics across the country, an underground resistance is rising inside the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, and it's led by doctors who refuse to abandon transgender veterans. After the Trump administration cut off gender-affirming care in March, some VA physicians began defying orders in secret, risking their jobs and reputations to continue life-saving treatment.
I just told Logan, I said, you can cut it there. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Look at how grotesque these people are. And I'm told, not only are you going to accept it, you are going to encourage it, and you are going to reaffirm them constantly that, yes, they're normal. I got 3 minutes left. This show's flying by. But I need to take a break. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm looking at my country dissolve. Before I even continue, I need one of our sponsors, Pet Club 24/7. Logan, I don't know if you have that commercial, but if you can play one of their commercials, I love this product. I take it. Alpha Warrior, who's a friend of mine, has a great podcast. He takes the blue bottle. I take the green bottle. His blue bottle's for mental clarity. My green bottle is the mushroom extract that they've patented. Kurt and Kristen from Pet Club 24/7, that helps my immune system. That I know, I can feel it. I'm worried about it. The junk that is in my body that my government allows to have poured into me, and the Biden administration played a vital role in that. Go to Truth with JJ 247, Truth with JJ 247 to help your pets and humans with your immune system. Go ahead and play this for me, please. Logan. Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com. You know what I want to end the show with? Something that feels good. Instead of looking at transgender freaks and the fight and the war we're in, I want to show you a video of a man in Chile who removed a plastic wrap around a sea lion's neck, and the sea lion keeps coming back to just say hi to him. The world's great. We just need to take it back. Go ahead and play this, Logan, please.